welcome to Warp Zone, a podcast on sci-fi, philosophy, religion, politics, gaming, and anything else taboo, run by two award-winning PhD students, candidates.
We are award-winning.
Award-winnings, yes.
Not
Not
for
this.
Oh, no. But if you want to nominate us for anything, just do it. We don't care what it is. I don't know.
How do you do that?
Are there awards for podcasts?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we probably need some reviews first.
Yeah, well, we need to check that we have reviews. Have you checked if we have a review?
Like on other platforms other than the Facebook page?
Yeah.
No.
I haven't done that. I've always thought about that the day after we record the podcast that I should check.
I think I've checked the Spotify and I don't think we have a review on that. Just because that's how I re-listen to it sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which I don't do often because I feel like listening to your own voice again.
31 people, that's last episode is you.
But I do listen to it and then laugh at the same jokes again.
Yeah.
Like, I remember that.
I'm so funny.
Yesterday.
How are you? So, introductions. I'm Ben Banasik.
I'm Tara Smith.
And welcome. We are in the Red Room, which is 301.
Not to be confused with Red Rum.
No.
Red Rum.
No. Although there could have been a murder in this room.
It's true, and it's not very red, is it?
Yeah, that's the doors have got different
But
colours.
they didn't do the red decor in here.
No, I would have liked that. It would have made it more intense than what it is now.
That's true. So we're in one of the kind of insane asylum rooms, I like to think of them as.
The recording studios, for other people more commonly call them, in the Fisher Library, 301C today.
Yes.
Which Tara booked as our booking agent.
Ben's now assigned me as the booking agent, which I think is bad, but I have booked it the last few times. So.
Yeah, well, I'm the bringer of the microphone.
Yeah.
It's just
I remember signing up with that.
Anyway, do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first about
I think you went first last time.
The existence that we are in, yes. What have you been doing?
I'm just perpetually tired, which I think everybody is, but lately it's been hitting me more than normal. Because the econ stuff's kind of amped up a bit. So on Thursday I had back-to-back classes from 8:30 till 8:30 I got home. So it was a long day. Because I had 36 students to fit in 10-minute blocks, each one after the other.
You listen to all that?
Yeah.
Econ stuff.
Econ
Are you an
stuff.
expert on
the economy? Nope, not at all. But I am good at the essay stuff, so they needed a lot of help with it. So I feel like it was worthwhile. Not many people came being like, why'd you give me such shit feedback? Like, they're all pretty receptive.
That's good.
But when I went into the room, so it was in one of the rooms, I think below Fisher, in Woolly, I don't know where it was. It was a long time. It was Thursday. Anyway, but the point being, it was in like a computer lab. So it was a bit weird. So people were coming in using the computers while I was having my meeting there. And I didn't know whether that was allowed or, I don't know.
Really?
It was in the education room, actually. It was part of Miko. You know how you go lower and it's, So anyway, like, when I went in, I went in and I just told Ben before that I have like a bit of a phobia around doors closing and not being able to get out. So I went in and as I was closing the door, because I was there early, because I'm always there really early, I noticed that the handle was fully off the thing, like the nails were out, like it was no longer there, so I couldn't open it back in. And so I had this like little micro panic of being like, I'm going to be stuck in here, I'm going to have to call like the front desk, they're going to have to come and get me. And then I looked to the right and there was just another door there. But at that moment of panic, because what happened once is I got locked. I've told you this story that I got locked into a bathroom once. I told you this? Oh, this is probably one of my best stories, so I'm going to tell it in full. Okay. So basically I went to the doctor's in Glebe. Right, and I was really needing to go to the toilet, and I had so I had about 5 minutes until I was meant to be called up, and there was a men's toilet and a woman's toilet, so the woman's toilet was occupied, but I was like, whatever, I'll just like go in really quick, it's fine. So I go in and I go to the toilet and I close the door, and it's one of those like doors that have no gaps, so there's like nothing, it's like a proper security latch kind of door. So go in and go to the toilet.
Not a stall door.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not one you could crawl underneath kind of thing. Fully like closed, like this. Like, very little oxygen either. So I went to the bathroom, and then I could not open the door, right? So there was two latches. There was the one that says occupied, and then the one that's like the bolt. And I turned them both, and I'm opening, I can't get out. And so then I'm like, what do I do? So I ring up the front desk, and I'm like, hi, I'm a bit stuck, because I could hear my name being called for my appointment. I'm like, I'm a little bit stuck, I can't get out, right? And so she comes and she looks at the women's toilet. Of course, you would assume I would be in the women's toilet and there's no one in there. So she goes back and I call her and I'm like, who's still in here? And so she comes to the door and she's like, have you tried turning the latches? I'm like, I think I've tried turning the latches, you know. So I keep trying. And then I'm in there for about half an hour. Like, I just can't get out and they can't get me out from the other side. So what happens is they get the doctor from down there to basically unscrew, he had a screwdriver, unscrew the bolts that were holding the door up. And then I had to kick my way out of the actual situation. Then they moved the door and then I had to go talk to them. And I'm pretty sure I had a UTI. So then I had to have a conversation about having a UTI and it was so shit. And everybody in the waiting room could hear the whole thing happening. And I've never been to that medical practice since.
No, nor have I.
Yeah. It was so embarrassing. But just having to call her and be like, yeah, so I'm here, but I am stuck in the bathroom. And it was really hot, so I was overheating because there was no ventilation and I was just feeling really anxious. So now every time a door closes, I get a little bit anxious about it opening again. So that's my bathroom story. So that's what happened. It was like a flashback, like Vietnam. Like I was like, I'm locked in. So that happened. So I've just been a bit tired. And then what else happened? I've just been doing some cat stuff. So I helped my friend trap some cats in Campsie on Sunday night, but we didn't catch any of them. Yeah, it was a bit of a lost cause. Yeah. They were too trap savvy, but we caught one boy that had a tongue sticking out and he has dental disease, so we took him to the vet. They're going to remove the teeth that are causing disease and put him back, so that's good. Ethel's gone on a trial with a lady named Eileen. Ethel was the kitten I was looking after. So it's now day 2.
This is the third cat?
No, this was the second cat.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's not a kitten.
No, it's the kitten.
It looked like a cat.
Ethel?
Yeah.
No, she's about 5 months old.
Would you call my cats kittens?
Still, yeah, probably.
Really?
They're not, it's not a technical term.
They're big boys.
They're not. Have you seen my cat Thomas?
Yeah.
In like comparison,
yeah,
right?
no, he doesn't have a neck.
He's did you see his new pictures? He had a new flower bow. Did you see that one?
No.
Very
cute.
cute.
You can't put a bow around something that doesn't have a neck.
Anyway, so Ethel's on trial, going well so far.
That's good.
Yep, and then the cat that was on the balcony has gone to Collaroy Vet to be home. So there's only one cat in my house, which is good. Fingers crossed it stays like that.
Good.
Tom's been catching lots of swarms and doing trap outs. So doing bee-related things, yep. So I've been trapping cats, he's been trapping bees. Yeah. We bought a sewing machine on the weekend to do some sewing.
I didn't expect that to be the next trend.
Yeah. We're going to sew Hessian sacks into bags and sell them.
Okay.
For my friend who has the pet rescue page. There it is.
Yeah.
And
Why are you going to do that?
Because we realised that Toby's estate just gives them away or throws them out. So we're going to just get heaps of Hessian coffee
Toby's
sacks.
estate?
Yeah, one across there. It's good coffee there.
Is that the winery? Or that's the...
No, they do coffee. Good coffee. It's a black and white brand or whatever.
I'm after a wine barrel.
Oh, okay.
I want to make some arcade machines out of wine barrels.
That's a cool idea. But they give their sacks of old coffee bags. You know how they come in a big sacks? Just give them away. Or they throw them away. So I want to just grab them and just make them, put a lining and a handle and just sell them as bags at the market. It's like $5.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So that's the plan. And then my friend Ellie and Zoe, they came over on Friday night and I made tacos. That was nice.
That's good.
So Ellie's the one who runs Penny Marathon and Zoe Alderton. Chris's. Yeah. They came over for dinner, so that was good.
Yeah, cool.
And, I saw a movie and it was really good. I saw it on Wednesday night. It's called Nightingale. Did I tell you about it?
I've seen the trailer for Nightingale.
Oh, yeah, I showed it to you, didn't I? Yeah. So basically it's like Australian film. Anyway, it's very violent. Very, very violent. There's
about a woman that runs off with an Aboriginal man.
Yeah. Oh, but not in a love interest. She goes and tries to attack people that have...
They're both subjugated.
Yeah, exactly. But it was also really good. The scenes were really full on. I had to close my eyes and block my ears kind of scenes.
Yeah.
Just like full on rape scenes that go for way too long. And babies are involved and really, really big trigger warning on that one.
Yeah.
But very, very
showed
good.
a little bit of that in the trailer. I was surprised actually they showed that in the trailer.
Yeah.
Because you could connect what you're seeing.
Exactly, yeah. And then I want to do my shout out. So I talked to my friend Kate yesterday and she listens to our podcast all the time. She's my friend from Ballina. I went to school with her, one of my oldest friends.
Wow.
And she says she loves listening to it because she's like, she catches up with everything that I'm doing without having to talk to me all the time.
That's nice.
Yeah, so she says she actually loves the preamble but doesn't always like the content part as much. Whereas other people I talk to don't like the preamble.
Yeah.
Like content. I thought that was really cool. So thanks for listening, Kate. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Kate.
And that's me done.
Well, you got the other thing as well.
Oh yeah, and I won the tutor award that we both applied for, and Ben won the teaching award.
I did.
It's very, very good.
Yeah, so we haven't gone to the award ceremony yet, but we've been notified that we are award recipients. So pretty good for the Studies of Religion department to have 2
definitely
award winners, which is good.
And I would have liked to have got the teaching award, but it's Tanya made a good point. If you have no teaching experience, not much point doing it.
Development was the other thing.
Yeah, and I've got none of that either.
Yeah, so I was fortunate in that regard. But I ran a risk with my application. I started citing, because I was looking at what I did at Sydney and then what I've done at Newcastle and ACU. Yeah. And I've done more, arguably, in some regards at Newcastle lecturing.
Because you've been running the whole unit. You've got to decide exactly what was in it.
Yeah, so I designed the course, and I had say in relation to the assignments, and then Tim has been doing the Blackboard side of things, but lecturer in charge.
Plus you were the very esteemable media representative for RLC 105.
I didn't put that in. I think that was a joke. Chris last semester for 1005 was like, and we're going to give you a tude, so you can do that, but also I'm going to name you as the Canvas
coordinator,
expert or coordinator, just made up. I'm like, gee, thanks, Chris.
And then Ben just did all the work for no pay, basically.
Yeah, I just have to put the stuff up. No, we get paid, but and I don't mind doing that stuff.
And you're good at it.
Yeah, I like web design. It's what I trained to do.
I'm finally glad that the university is recognising your skills, because you've been so cocked out of the stipend and etc.
And work
and lecturing work.
Did not get the lecturing work for one of the units.
So it's about time, you said.
The first time I've actually been recognised.
Yeah. Does it feel good?
Yeah. Yeah, it feels pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah, it feels nice. What I've been doing. So my week started on Tuesday afternoon with you, where we went to the seminar, which was hosted by Professor Leslie Stein.
Yes.
Of Sydney University. He did a lecture or a seminar on Carl Gustav Jung.
Your bae. One of your baes.
One of my baes. One of my 24 favourite people.
Top 5?
Yeah, probably top 5.
With Camus?
Yeah, I read more of Jung prior to me studying than I read of Camus. I read a lot of Jung. Yeah. And I was really interested in esoteric religions because of him. Yeah.
So you're very inspired.
And I studied Gnosticism and then went through looking at Christian orthodoxy and orthopraxy and stuff that way. So it was a kind of roundabout the other way study and engagement of early Christianity. But yeah, that seminar was one of the best seminars I've ever been to. It was so good. So much so.
To give credit, you haven't been to many the last few weeks.
No, not this semester. No, because everyone keeps putting things on during that time. Ben's free on Tuesday afternoon as well. So this semester has not been good, but I've been to the last year and a half prior to that. But yeah, so much so that I bought his 2 books when I got home.
Yeah, wow. You emailed him or not yet?
No, I'll read the books first, and then see.
Yeah.
Tara's
hurt
bleeding
my finger.
Again. Yeah. So that was that. Now, you saw on Tuesday when that tutor came in the room, and I was doing an order. Did you see I was doing an order through VR? I was on the phone to my rep.
Wait. No.
Okay. So I was on the phone doing some shop stuff on Tuesday because I thought rather than do the Christmas big order next week, I'll do it here at university because it's time limited. By 4 o'clock I had to finish, right? Yeah. Because we had to go into the seminar. Yeah. So I do this massive big Christmas order.
Actually, I think I do remember.
Yeah. So I call up the
Are you talking about Pokemon? You mean when I went and saw you in the tutor room?
Yeah, there was heaps and heaps of stuff, like board games, right? A massive amount.
I do remember.
And I called up with the rep and I'm like, okay, I want to do this order for Christmas. I don't want it for 3 weeks. What do you want me to do? And he's like, yeah, just fine. Just put it through, and that's all good. Now, next day, Wednesday, I'm driving back from Newcastle after I do the lecture up there, which was a really good lecture, actually. It was really good on SART.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Was it nice to go fresh out of podcasts and back onto SART?
Yeah, actually, it was really good. So in 2 weeks' time, we'll have to talk about Camus again, because then I can do the same. Yeah. So I'm driving back and I stop off at the cafe, the McDonald's cafe on the M7, I think it's called, or M3, the Newcastle Road. Anyway, stop over and I'm checking my emails and I see there's an invoice from VR and it's for my Christmas order. I'm like, oh.
But they said they'd wait for it with it?
Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah. So
how much money?
$30,000. Yeah. It's like 3 pallet loads of stuff.
So the money just came out of your account?
No.
Oh.
No.
It's an
it's on an account,
okay.
yeah, an invoice, right? So I call up the rep and I'm like, hey, Troy, like, what's the deal with this? And he's like, no. I'm like, did you unlock the account? And he goes, yeah, I unlocked the account to send you, like, 5 video games for $300. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. If the invoice is not a real invoice, then that's okay. My concern is that I'm going to receive this stock this week. Am I going to do that? Or, like, what's the deal? And he's like, oh, shit, hang on. So he hangs up the phone. He calls the warehouse. He calls back. He's like, well, looks like you're going to receive a big order in the next couple of days.
No.
Yeah. So
that's so shit.
We have no space, right?
No.
Yeah. It was going to come on Friday. It ended up coming yesterday. They couldn't reverse it. They've changed the billing date, but yeah.
What are you going to do with all the stuff?
It's packed behind everything.
Oh my god! You fit it into the building?
Yeah, it fit.
You have to send me a photo.
It's that the shelves above my shop in the store are all completely packed from the shelf to the ceiling.
Wow.
The entire store is completely packed.
Does it make it feel a bit cluttered?
No, because you can't see it because of the.
Oh, okay.
But my store's kind of cluttered anyway.
That's true.
Yeah.
Every time I'm there, I worry I'm going to knock stuff over.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I'm going to
Yeah.
Suddenly there's a plushie flying. Yeah. God, so that's not good.
So we had to enter the invoice and then process the stock and then do all that. On top of that,
was Joe happy?
Joe? No. Joe, funnily enough, no. She said fucking fuck. Yes, it was not good. On top of that, we went bed shopping the week before.
Yes.
The beds were going to arrive on the Friday, which means I had to rearrange my...
Oh, so you went there to pick it up because you were dealing with the stock, is that right?
No, the bed got delivered on...
To the shop?
No.
That'd be a twist.
So that was on the Thursday, right? So the Thursday happened, which means we had to move all of Isaiah's stuff out of his room and all of Jack's stuff out of his room. And then I was exhausted from doing all that. And then the stock got delivered on Monday, so I've been moving stuff constantly from one room to another, or one box to another. It has not been enjoyable in that regard. But yeah, that's sort of. I have not had a chance to play anything. I've got a new couch in my.
Oh, I've been playing Tetris Effect. I'm getting really good at it.
Oh, cool.
I've been playing the Mystery Effect. I like that the best.
Yeah.
I don't like the other one. That's just too hard.
Mystery Effect can be hard. Like it.
But it's different. Whereas I don't like just the one effect that annoys me. But
do you like it when a really big piece comes down?
I think 103,000 is my top, something like that.
How many lines?
I get. I think I've got like 120. I haven't quite got the full 150 yet.
You're close.
Yeah, I'm getting
really
closer.
good.
Have you been able to get it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I've done 5 stars of all that stuff.
You got an A?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't get that high. I only get C's.
Yeah. Once you get 150, you can get an A.
Okay.
Like it's
I
easy.
thought I was getting really good. It's a hard game to get. You've been playing it a bit longer.
Yeah. I've been, and like I played columns since I was a kid and stuff. So
I like it though. And we've been playing that 2-player game. I want you to recommend some more. Yeah, I like Overcooked, but I want you to recommend some more we can play together because I prefer that than taking turns. It gets a bit boring taking turns. In games, I think.
Yeah, we can talk about that, and then maybe we can review a multiplayer game, which would be kind of interesting.
But I don't like the online ones.
No. I mean, we could play in our own homes separately, not talking to each other.
Oh, okay. That sounds alright.
But yeah, we could engage with, because Jack plays multiplayer games with me quite often. So
yeah,
we could do that.
Cool. So that's it.
I think so. Oh, we had a birthday party on Sunday that I went to for Isaiah. Isaiah's friend's birthday party.
Because his is next weekend, right?
Yeah, his is this coming Saturday. Yeah.
1 till 5. You're going to have to resend me the details because I don't know the address.
Let's just announce it for the podcast.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Please come, everybody.
If anyone would like to come bowling...
Sometimes I forget we're recording, so
Yeah.
I feel like we're just talking.
The other thing that we have done is we were discussing last night in relation to meaning and terms, but I think that we can talk about that next. When we start actually talking about the
Story.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Before that, I've just been writing a little bit more, and I sent you a story. You liked it?
I loved the first story.
Yeah, but you didn't like the sci-fi one.
Sci-fi one was okay,
Yeah.
but it wasn't as good as the first one.
Yeah.
Tatara wrote a story about me, which is really...
It wasn't meant to be about you, but when you reread the description, I was like, it's like you. So I was on the back of our conversation about ethics and what you should do. And it's just a quick little story about somebody who's kind of trying to work out what they should do. They get a sex, basically not meant for them, and then they try and work out.
No, not a sex. They don't get a sex. A sex with a T.
Yeah. But it's been fun. I like writing.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
I like the first story had a more of a gotcha moment. And
Yeah.
So it was quite fun. But yeah, that was really good. I have not been writing. I have to write. I have to write that.
Oh yeah.
That article, and I have to write lectures and stuff.
Anyway, let's start.
All right, taking us towards the reading of the week, which is Ray Bradbury's "There Will Come Soft Rains." I have chosen a song which is somewhat related, which is Data Rock's "Computer Camp Love," because there are computers in this, and that is the only link that I could find. But it's a cool song, so enjoy it. That was Data Rock's Computer Camp Love, about a dude who meets a woman on a Commodore 64 computer camp, which is very strange, whose name's Judy.
Excellent. Yeah. And so you all might recall, and I don't know which episode it was, maybe the second or third episode we were doing.
It's been 72 years.
But I was reading a Ray Bradbury story called Something Wicked This Way Comes, and I read a few little snippets of it, and it had the horse on the front. It's about a carnival, about two boys in a carnival, basically.
That's right. Yeah, his writing style I took exception to.
Yeah, we were making jokes about just how figurative it was, and because it is pretty much every scene is really over described in it. But I actually finished it, and I quite liked it when I finished it. But it did take me a while to get through that writing, and so now we're kind of revisiting Bradbury, but this time a shorter story. And I actually prefer the shorter story because I feel like that kind of figurative language is better in smaller doses because it's like poetry. A whole book, I couldn't stick with the plot, but a short story I found.
I think that's why people
easier.
Struggle with Tolstoy.
Yeah.
You know, those really big tomes of War and Peace and Anna Karenina. Great books. Like they're monumental, and their artwork, but far out. Like to the point where you're talking about a person's hand movement for a whole page.
Yeah, totally.
Like, come on, let me know what he said.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'll just do a quick intro. Ray Bradbury was born in 1920, died in 2012. He's an American author and screenwriter. One of his most iconic novels was Fahrenheit 451. Have you read that one?
No,
it's a great book.
Huh.
And it's just been made into a movie, which I haven't seen, but I think got pretty bad reviews from memory. But I loved the book.
I think that actually influenced a video game.
Ooh, maybe that could be something we do later.
No, it's a rare video game. You wouldn't.
Oh, okay. Anyway, one of the inspirations for him writing was in 1932 when he met a carnival entertainer called Mr. Electrico, who touched him on the nose with an electrified sword, which made his hair stand on end, and he shouted, "Live forever!" Which I think this links really well to something Wicked This Way Comes, because the setting's a carnival and there's similar characters and things like that. But from this experience, Bradbury said that he'd felt something strange and wonderful had happened to me because of my encounter with Mr. Electrico. He gave me a future. I began to write full time. I've written every single day of my life since that day 69 years ago. So it was really influential for him. He said that, what?
It's such a strange thing. I was touched by a man on the nose,
Yeah.
Mr. Electrico, and now I can write full time.
Yeah, well, I guess because he said, what did he say? Live forever. That might have an impact on you.
That's more of I'm focusing on the electric shock.
Yeah. And at that age, so he said he started doing magic around that time, and he wanted to be a magician. And he said if he hadn't become a writer, he would have been a magician. So he's once described as a Midwest surrealist and is often labelled as a science fiction writer, which he described as the art of the possible. But he doesn't like this categorization, and we'll talk a little bit more about this later. Yeah. And he said, first of all, I don't write science fiction. I've only done one science fiction book, and that's Fahrenheit 451, based on reality. Science fiction is a depiction of the real. Fantasy is a depiction of the unreal. So Martian Chronicles is not science fiction, it's fantasy. It couldn't happen, you see. That's the reason it's going to be around a long time, because it's Greek myth and myths have staying power. So we'll talk a little bit about that later. And so basically the story that we'll be reviewing is called There Will Come Soft Rains, which is a very short story. I think it's only about 4 pages. And it basically just describes a house fully automated that goes through the motions after an atomic bomb has basically come and killed everyone that's been in it, really. But you don't really get to know the backstory. All you see is the house going through the motions. So this was written in 1945, which I think was 1950, which was 5 years after United States released the little boy atomic bomb over the city of Hiroshima that destroyed nearly everything in the city, and then Nagasaki as well, where tens of thousands of people died. And so this is a very common theme in sci-fi, is writing about around this time. A lot of it was very post-apocalyptic and feeling that tension of the atomic bomb and things like that. Yeah,
the wall has come up. So officially 1945, end of the war, 1946 is when the tensions start to arise between the Eastern Bloc and the Western nations. The Western nations are starting to sort this shit out. England has lost power. There is no longer the Commonwealth and as the strength that it was. But the official start of the Cold War, whilst people say it's 1946, it's probably 1949. So he's writing this a year after that, which is
But also that fear as well of that, just imagining that the world would end, and it really influenced Philip K. Dick's stuff as well. Like he writes a lot about this kind of after the bomb has hit kind of world, and so a lot of that anxieties was really kind of brought into the science fiction, which I think is really interesting. And anyway, so we'll talk maybe about the story first, and then do you want to go into the definitions?
Yeah. I think we can have a broader discussion, which I'm very interested in having. For the story, you go first.
So I like the story. I think it's very poetic. To me, it's almost like reading poetry. The way that the kind of what are those words where they're like sounds? Onomatopoeia? It's onomatopoeia, right? Like the tick-tock and like the certain noises that are coming, I think, and the narration is very kind of sing-song and poetic-like, and I liked the flow, that it starts off quite positive and very beautiful images and then gets very, very dark towards the end. I really like that. And that image of the silhouettes of the family on the time that the bomb hit. So basically it leaves imprints of them in white, where the ashes are dark all around, right? With the boy, or the opposite way?
Where are we? What page?
This is where the silhouettes are.
Silhouette of a man.
It's the man, the boy,
here.
and the wife.
So, top of page 2. The entire west face of the house was black, save for 5 places. Here, the silhouette in paint of a man mowing the lawn. Here, as in a photograph, a woman bent to pick flowers. Still farther over, their images burned on wood. In one titanic instant, a small boy, hands flung into the air, higher up, the image of a thrown ball. And opposite him, a girl, hands raised to catch the ball, which never came down.
Yes, that's, to me, that image really stayed with me after I read it. Just imagining those, like, the silhouettes and kind of, like, a bomb happening and just fully kind of destroying in such a quick moment. And I thought that was really poetic and really powerful. But I think it's a great story. I think it's the rhythm and the cadence is just awesome. I thought it was really good. I liked it.
I liked it. I'm confused. The first page talks about how there's eggs were shriveled with toast. It was like stone, yet the people outside have been burnt to a crisp, which is weird.
Oh, because it only hit one side of the building. That's why the rest of the building's there, right?
That's not the way atomic bombs work.
Yeah. But my understanding is that the one side of the house got the brunt of the assault, whereas the inside was kept.
Yeah, it was a small thing, like, because I read it through, and then I'm like, hang on, did I imagine that there were eggs being cooked at the beginning? And then I went back to the beginning, and I'm like, what the hell? There is eggs there. And then they talk about, he mentions eggs at the end as well. Where, in the kitchen, an instant before the rain of fire and timber, the stove could be seen making breakfasts at a psychopathic rate. 10 dozen eggs, 6 loaves of toast, 20 dozen bacon strips, which, eaten by fire, started the stove working again, hysterically hissing.
To me, that's the house can do everything, basically. People don't have to do anything. You wake up at 2 o'clock that tells you when to wake up. The cars come to your house. Breakfast is made. Coffee's made. And then these little mice. I really like the mice that come and clean away everything.
Little
metallic robots.
Yeah, I liked it. I don't know. It's funny how this is coming from Bradbury, who is very explanatory of people's movement or people. And this story doesn't really have people. So there's only so much you can do with exploring these circuitries. It's funny how... So, where the dog... So there's a dog at the beginning that comes in. Now, the house's job is to feed the family, yeah? But the dog requires food. The dog scratches in, can't really get in, and then it comes in and it dies because the house doesn't feed the dog because it's not the house's place to feed the dog.
Yeah.
So it's like it's completely unconscious, the house.
It's without empathy.
Yeah,
or
there's
sentience, really.
There's no sentience. Yeah, there is no existentiality. There's no cognience. Yeah. So it's an AI, but it's not really an AI because there's no consciousness or conscience.
Yeah.
And I think that's where my dividing line of thinking about whether an AI has either of those two things. So I don't think the story is about an AI. I think it's about a mechanized house.
You'd still call this AI because it's machine learning. So this would be an example of specific AI. It might not be the idea of the general AI or like the singularity kind of, but it still could be defined as AI.
Could you?
Yeah. AI is any computer-based learning, artificial. You can call anything AI. You can call face recognition software AI. You can call farming equipment that can measure the size and the shape of a plant and know exactly how much water. That's AI. It's just a spectrum, really. But when you're thinking of like full-on sentience, robotic, looking like us kind of AI that has feelings, thinking, that's when that's more general AI.
No, I was thinking even for inside a computer system, like I don't know if I would call my computer AI.
No, but you might call certain programs within an AI as well. I mean, people call face recognition. Does your webcam, can it recognize that sort of stuff? You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe, but I don't think the house does any of that.
But it would have to. It would have to know when the morning was. It'd have to work out who was giving for breakfast. The mice would have to work out where the food had dropped, and it'll have to adapt accordingly. The dog was an unknown quantity. It'd have to know that the dog had died. It'd have to remember how to get to it. That you could still call that AI.
Yeah.
It's just different to the AI we've looked at.
I think it's more like an alarm clock. It's a glorified alarm clock, the house.
Maybe, but can you imagine having to program those mice to know when something new had happened? And, I think that it would be... It's
the same as a vacuum robot. Like, a vacuum robot keeps going around your house until it hits a wall.
Yeah, I think, though, that the technology is pretty advanced.
Yeah, totally. Totally, it is.
I guess it doesn't matter too much whether we'd call it AI or not.
No. But I went into it thinking, all right, this is going to be about a house with an AI that's running. And then I'm like, oh, no, it's not really. Like, just that, like, going through the thought processes of, well, what is that dividing line for me? When does it become AI or not?
Yeah, well, I agree that it's not general AI. I agree it's not thinking or feeling or any kind of real idea of AI, but specific AI would have to have some elements of it. But what I find interesting is comparing it to the other AIs that we have looked at, or advanced kind of technology kind of people. So we've looked at the cats one last week. Which was very different because it could think, maybe not feel, but it was trying to gain sentience, whereas the house obviously...
it had sentience.
Yeah, it had sentience. Yes. But it was trying to also figure itself out in the world. A very different creature than the house, obviously. And then if we go back further, we go to Ellison's... I have no mouth, I cannot scream. That AI is completely different as well.
Yes.
Because it's very evil, it hates humans,
Well, it has a sentience. It's the same as the cat AI.
Yeah. So this one is very different. And what I like about it is that kind of cold machine, that the machine continues its existence after humans and it keeps going. It's it's the futility of it I find really interesting, that it keeps making the bread. And then there's another story I really like by Walter Miller that's called Dumb Waiter, and it's about these city that's at war, and basically in the future there's no more war, but it keeps dropping fake bombs, so the ships still fly and don't drop bombs, they go over and over again because that's what they've been programmed to do. And it's this idea of, to me, it's kind of critiquing the lack of humanity in some of the technology that we're building, and I feel like that's what it's doing now, and that's what this one's doing now. You can't really replace humans, even with all that, maybe just that all this tech couldn't save them from total annihilation.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Totally.
So I thought that was quite interesting, and I think I read it as a real critique of technology, and
it is, and it shows the absurdity of this existence of this house doing these things, and that I think is interesting. Where the dog comes in, you have the breakfast in the next room that's being cooked, but it's been thrown away by the mice because it's got to a certain point. And it's not the time for the dog to eat the breakfast, and the dog just dies. Yeah,
it's wasteful. And it's not, it can't adapt to a new situation. And I think that's quite interesting. And also when the fire starts, there's a fire that starts burning down the house still's kind of going to overdrive. So it's making lots of eggs, and it's getting frantic, and the little mice coming out and spitting water, trying to kind of diffuse it. And you almost feel sorry for it, I feel, towards the end. Even though you know it's automated, I kind of felt a bit sorry for it. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't think I did.
You didn't feel sorry for it?
No. I thought, well, it had existence. It doesn't have existence. I don't think it's something that I can feel sorry about. I don't know. But I don't know about feeling sorry for, when things like that.
Yeah, the way he described it, so in the nursery the jungle burned, blue lions roared, purple giraffes bounded off. So these were I assume
this
toys.
is talking about the picture of the
images.
Yeah, images of a child's bedroom.
The panthers ran in circles, changing colour, and 10 million animals running before the fire vanished off towards a distant steaming river. 10 more voices died. So I think he's trying to almost make us also kind of maybe not think of the house as a human, but as having some sort of life. I don't know, the way it's very emotive, the way he describes it, kind of being destroyed, and the clock is still kind of chiming the time and the day, it's its last,
and that's the last
line.
Just the single wall that remains.
today is August 5th, 2026. Today's August 5th, 2026. Today is, and just constantly chiming. And that's, to me, it's like the house is just gripping onto that one last little kind of thing. So I think it is quite emotive especially towards the end, towards the building as well. So it's a critique, but also, I don't know what he's trying to do by making us feel, or trying to emote a feeling towards the house as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I struggle to find the purpose in the story. I like the story. I think it's well written. But
maybe it's the gasp of the human. Maybe that's the point, is that the technology or us feeling sorry for the house is almost making us feel sorry for the humans kind of dying out. Like that last voice is the voice of humans through their creation.
So because it is the single building that is in the wilderness.
Yeah, it's a symbol of humanity, rather than the house itself being a resemblance of humanity.
But by perchance is next to a tree.
Yeah.
There's some holes in the story, but it's a very short story.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought what I think is interesting, we're looking at three very different kind of ideas of sort of AI and computer-based learning and different degrees of kind of cognizance and conscience as well.
Sure, yeah.
Because even comparing AM with the narrator in the cat story, they're completely different, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, well, that's confusing. That story is confusing. We've spoken about this before. I find Ellison's writing weird because it's not from him, and it's not from a character, and it's not from the third character.
Yeah.
And it mixes all three. Like he muddles it sometimes. And the point is for him to get the story across, and sometimes he's not using like consistent grammatical style or whatever that way. But this is consistently grammatical. You know when the house pardon me, when different parts of the house are acting, and
but I mean, we don't need to critique Ellison again. I'm talking just about the character of AM. I feel like I don't want to talk about Ellison's writing style.
I know. But you're right. If we do assume that it is from AM, and then we assume that the that story from Naomi is, and that is from the cat loving AI. They've got different outputs, but their emotions seem to be rooted at the same cause.
I agree.
They
Very
both
childish
want to
as
survive,
well.
or they both want to interact with humans in a way to learn and to exist.
Do you have some water? Your voice is dying.
Is it? Is it? Yes. But yeah, I think that they're very similar in that regard, actually.
To me, they were very, a bit childlike, innocent, almost. Even AM's horrible. I feel like there was an innocence there of, I don't know. It's hard to find anything positive to say about AM torturing humans. But those are, having emotions and not knowing how to deal with them. To me, they're both quite childish.
Yeah. It's struggling to
work
exist
out,
in the world. Whereas this house doesn't have a voice. Really,
it's more of a vehicle for humanity. I think.
Yeah.
I think I agree with you there. Like having just kind of thought it out and reflected.
Yeah.
It's not so much to do with the AI, but I do think they're interesting takes on computer, and I just like the story. I think.
Yeah.
I can't really even justify it.
No, that's okay. Now onto the discussion last night, because this touches on this. Is this sci-fi or is it speculative fiction? Now I know. You use the term speculative fiction.
I use them interchangeably. I don't mind which one. But a lot of people define science fiction differently. So some people base it on thematics, certain themes. Other people base it in a historical literature movement from a certain period. And other people put the effect. So I prefer the effective kind of definition, which is more about... So Darko Savin has his definition of science fiction is it creates a cognitive change and a shift in your perception. And that to me is what good science fiction does. And that's a good way of kind of understanding it. But I guess there's no real kind of hard definition of sci-fi. But often it does get categorized into hard and soft science fiction. Hard sci-fi focuses a lot more on the science and the tech, whereas soft science fiction doesn't necessarily have to. The fact that he thinks that he's sort of distancing himself and saying that science fiction is only things that are possible, I don't believe is true. I don't agree with his definition. I think in the quote he says something like that, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's right. So you have the speculation, which means you can speculate about the future. But he doesn't use speculative fiction
No,
either.
he doesn't call himself at all. So he says in his quote, I don't write science fiction. So he calls his book Fahrenheit 451 science fiction because it's based in reality. Science fiction is a depiction of the real, fantasy is a depiction of the unreal. Whereas I feel like a lot of sci-fi is all about thinking about what's not real and guessing about what the future might be, but you just might ground it in more fact. And you know, fantasy and sci-fi, the definition between the two is so blurred anyway, but having science fiction without a fantasy or an imagination or whatever you want to call it is just science. Like, it has to have the fiction as well. And you know, the science can mean anything really. Like, defining science itself can be really difficult.
Well, yeah, and this is a problem. So I look at this from my own knowledge base of existentialists, absurdists, philosophers, thinkers. They all have problems. If you look from basically from William James, Freud and Jung, all the way up to the modern era, every thinker that comes out of that train of thought, and even Heidegger, they all struggle with the idea of, are they a philosopher? Are they an existentialist? Are they absurdist? There is a point where Sartre and Camus are both referred to as existentialists, and Camus like, yeah, but we disagree on everything.
Yeah.
That's not the way things are. But then they settle that, okay, yes, Sartre, you can own the existentialist label, whereas I'll take something else, says Camus. And he doesn't end on defining what that is, but it's really absurdism. But that's just difficult. Like, can't I just say that I enjoy reading existentialist thinkers, and then group them all together and then build some sort of qualification about what those terms are?
Definitely. I feel like the important part is just defining it. The same as religion. You know, you can't write a paper necessarily without mentioning briefly what you mean by religion.
That's right.
And that's just academia, and that's just working with things like genres. Genres are really hard to define anyway, you know what I mean? And so there's a critic called Wolf who says that when he was kind of looking at the definitions of science fiction and fantasy, he found 33 different definitions. That was written 32 years ago. So that's a lot of definitions. Yeah. So this is what I mean. It's like there's no consensus. It's not like people can get together and say, oh, this is the definition. And that's why I think the importance is how you define it as an academic or a critic, and it's also important how the pop culture and the group that are in it define it. And I think that's important as well.
And this was part of the discussion that Mark and John, myself, and you had last night. And Mark's point where so whilst I assume you don't quite agree with Mark's definition of this being sci-fi or not being sci-fi, he has a point that terms don't only point to what they are. Terms point to things which they are not. And sometimes we have to go to great lengths to explain, well, this is what I mean by apple. Apple is not pear. Apple is not. And so there are all these assumptions of things which this thing is not. And then we can have some sort of mixed understanding of what things are. The other alternative is that we accept that anyone can use any term and they can mean different things for themselves.
But that's why I gave the example of retro. There's heaps of terms, and even in what you guys do, retro gaming or classic gaming, where do you define it? And your definition might be very different to Mark's, who's very different to John's, and
which it is,
etc.
So John has SCGC, which is Sydney Classic Gaming Club, whereas I come from a household which is mostly, British expats. I listen to a lot of British podcasts. I read a lot of British material because I see a lineage of early computing and then classic gaming, retro gaming, and then that lineage. And that's the way they talk about it. The classic gaming for them is like Pac-Man or Donkey Kong, those early games, classic computer systems. And then you have the retro computer systems that come after it and in that lineage. Whereas if you go to America and you say the word, oh, that's classic, that means that it is a classic. Like classic rock can mean
so that was a
Queen.
Classic game, and it just means like a good one.
Right? Yeah, it can mean like Queen is seen as classic rock sometimes by some people, which is weird. If you look at that from a British perspective, that's an odd thing. So we've got this single term where both with the usage of John and then Mark and myself in the discussion, we've discovered actually we all mean different things. But we're using a term which is acceptable. We've got
in your community.
Yeah.
So it kind of works with the community kind of in-group, right?
Yeah.
And then you define what you think's in and out. You have a discussion and you say, well, that's out. And this is what popular culture and geek culture does all the time. They are kind of creating the categories. So they're kind of, in a way, they're saying, well, we all agree in this, but we don't want this in it. And it's constantly changing as well. There's acceptable definitions for things. And so, of course, I think it's important to define your terms, but to say that science fiction can only be synonymous with science and tech just isn't true, because you're chucking out a lot of writers that are writing amazing science fiction. They might not focus on hard sci-fi, but they're still sci-fi. So
well, that's by your term and by their term as well. So you have to qualify it, and I think it's right to do so. I'm going to have to do the same thing for religion and religious experience.
Exactly.
Using William James's term and then going back to, I don't know, Durkheim or whoever it's going to be, then I'm going to have to say, okay, I mean this, not necessarily that. And then going from there. And I found that hard when I was actually doing the surveys as well.
Just pausing, guys.
No, it's okay.
Someone tried to come in.
Someone tried to come into the red room.
In the red room. Red ram. But I think it's a good discussion to have, and I'm sure Mark will want to keep talking about it tonight.
yeah. We have trivia tonight, which is going to be fun.
Yeah, we're going to win this time.
Maybe. That's the guy that goes to the toilet all the time.
Oh yeah, do you want to quickly do next week, and then we'll finish up?
Oh, is that it?
Do you want to keep talking about it?
That's it. We're done. No, I think that's a good summary. Anyway,
should we rate Bradbury stories?
Yeah.
10 out of 10 electric mice.
Okay. 10 out of 10 electric mice.
What do you give it?
It's hard because it's really well written. Maybe a 6 or a 7, but I don't think that's bad. That's like credit.
Okay, I'll give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
I like the story. But I agree, it's not super clear cut what it means. I mean, to me, it's like poetry. It's totally figurative. It's like a poetic piece.
Yeah. But for me, I don't know. There wasn't too much I took out of it. Aside from thinking about the AI distinction.
But it is very short. It's hard to make a lot of meat in a 4-page story.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Cool. All right. Next week, what are we doing?
You wanted to do a musical to mix things up.
Well, yeah. This is going to be different.
We're going to sing a musical for you.
Yeah. Tara's going to lead. I'll just be in the background providing the sound effects.
Yeah. So one of us.
Yeah. So H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. It's Jeff Wayne's musical version. So it's the double disc. We will listen to the entire thing, which goes for about 2 hours. It's a musical opera. Yeah. You're looking at me like you don't want to listen.
Well, I have to debate with Ben every time I do a story more than like 5 pages. So I feel like after this, he's going to have to read one of my 144-page ones.
What? 2 hours?
2 hours is I can. You can read. Yeah.
No, you can't read.
Anyway.
10. No, it's like 30.
We'll discuss this outside of the pod.
Anyway, yeah. So Tara and I are going to both listen to the entire thing. Yeah. Of Jeff Wayne's musical of War of the Worlds, which is going to be awesome. We will discuss that.
Yep.
In closing, you chose a song.
Yes, I did. I chose a song by Peter, Paul and Mary, who's one of my favourite bands, and they're going to be playing a song, I think it's called The House Song, because this story was about a house, and this song is about a house, and enjoy.
They could have played something from House, the TV show.
I hate that guy.
Really?
Yeah, it was like,
it's never Lupus.
It's never...
It's never Lupus.
He's so annoying.
No, he's alright.
It's always the same formula every episode. Anyway, we're never going to review an episode of House.
Really?
No, it's not sci-fi, taboo, or interesting.
He's a bit taboo.
Is he?
Yeah.
He's always like, it's always like the least expected, and he always has the answer. Every episode.
Yeah.
And no one believes him, and then we have to do that same formula every time.
Yeah, and then he gets angry, and then,
And then he makes some snide remark.
Yeah. It's good. It's British.
I don't like it. Anyway, enjoy Peter, Paul and Mary.
Okay. Bye.
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 This house goes on sale every Wednesday morning, and take the market in the afternoon. You can buy a pizza if you want to. It's been good to me if it's been good for you. Take the grand look now, the fire is burning. Is that your reflection on the wall? I can show you this room and some others if you came to see the house at all. Careful up the stairs, a few are missing. I haven't had the time to make repairs. The first step is the hardest one to master. The last one I'm not really sure is there.